Good evening, and welcome to World in 15, your trusted source for comprehensive coverage of today's most pressing events, delivered with accuracy, integrity, and insight.
North Korea sent a new wave of trash-laden balloons towards South Korea late Sunday, escalating tensions after Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, warned of further retaliatory measures if the South continues its psychological warfare. This latest move comes in response to South Korea resuming anti-North Korean propaganda broadcasts via loudspeakers in border areas, which Kim Yo-jong called a prelude to a very dangerous situation. We have Shelby reporting on this.
In a statement through North Korean state media, Kim Yo-jong warned South Korea of unspecified new counteraction if it continues with the broadcasts and does not stop activists from sending anti-North Korean leaflets over the border. She sternly urged Seoul to cease these actions immediately, accusing it of creating a new environment of crisis. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, JCS, have declared North Korea fully responsible for the current situation and call on the North to immediately stop such mean acts like sending waste balloons. A JCS spokesman stated that the South would conduct missions with flexibility according to the strategic and operational situation, without confirming whether the loudspeaker broadcasts would continue. The propaganda broadcasts, which inform North Korean soldiers and residents about South Korea and the reality of life in the North, were halted in 2018 following a summit between the two nations. However, South Korea has recently resumed these broadcasts, leading to North Korea's trash-laden balloon retaliation. In the past weeks, North Korea has sent over 1,000 of these balloons across the heavily fortified border, claiming it is a response to South Korean activists sending anti-North Korean leaflets. As of Monday morning, the South Korean military had recovered about 50 balloons, with many believed to have blown back into North Korea due to the wind. This escalating tit-for-tat has raised concerns of potential military retaliation. Last week, South Korea suspended a 2018 agreement aimed at reducing military tensions with the North, resuming propaganda broadcasts and potentially restarting border military exercises. South Korean activists also recently sent balloons carrying hundreds of thousands of leaflets condemning Kim Jong-un and 5,000 USB sticks with K-pop and K-dramas into North Korea. North Korea remains highly isolated with strict controls over information flow. Foreign materials, including movies and books, are banned, and those caught with such contraband face severe punishment. Earlier this year, footage reportedly showed North Korean teenagers sentenced to hard labor for watching and distributing K-dramas. Although restrictions softened somewhat in recent decades, particularly during improved relations with China and a thaw in inter-Korean relations in 2017 to 2018, the situation has deteriorated in recent years. Diplomatic talks have collapsed, and North Korea has reinstated its strict rules, closing itself off even further. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update.
An alleged multi-state human trafficking ring forcing immigrant women into prostitution, the mysterious killing of a former police officer in South Florida, attacks against police officers in New York, and the arrest of a drug dealer in Chicago, all seemingly unrelated crimes, have been linked to a common denominator: Aragua, a transnational criminal gang originating from a Venezuelan prison that has expanded its operations south and north in recent years, now operating in the United States. Though the scale of its operations remains unknown, crimes attributed to alleged members of the gang have raised concerns among elected officials, leading some Republican members of Congress to call on the Biden administration to formally designate Aragua as a transnational criminal organization. We have Anthony reporting on this.
For several years, Aragua has terrorized South American countries, including its country of origin, Venezuela, as well as Bolivia, Colombia, Chile, and Peru. Retired General Oscar Naranjo, former Vice President of Colombia and Chief of the Colombian National Police, described Aragua as the most disruptive criminal organization operating nowadays in Latin America, a true challenge for the region. The group adopted its name between 2013 and 2015 but began operations earlier, originating from unions of workers involved in a railway construction project in Aragua and Carabobo states in Venezuela, according to a report by Transparency Venezuela. Operating out of the notorious Tocaron prison, which they controlled, the group's leadership was discovered to have amenities such as a swimming pool and restaurants within the prison walls, along with a cache of weapons seized during a raid by Venezuelan officials in September last year. By 2015, the group had formed an alliance with the Primeiro Comando da Capital, a Brazilian criminal organization, and expanded its reach throughout South America. In Colombia, Tren de Aragua, along with a rival guerrilla group known as the National Liberation Army, operates sex trafficking networks in the border town of Villa del Rosario in the Norte de Santander department, exploiting Venezuelan migrants and internally displaced Colombians in sex trafficking and debt bondage. According to the U.S. State Department 2023 Trafficking in Persons report about Colombia, police in the region report that the organization has victimized thousands through extortion, drug and human trafficking, kidnapping, and murder. Now, U.S. Customs and Border Protection and the FBI confirmed the gang's presence and activities in the United States. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update.
Grass, often overlooked as innocuous, is increasingly becoming a significant factor in the rise of large, fast-moving wildfires across the United States. Abundant and resilient, grass serves as fuel for wildfires, capable of igniting explosively under favorable weather conditions. With planet-warming emissions altering temperature and precipitation patterns, wildfires are growing larger and more frequent, perpetuating a destructive cycle of ecological devastation. We have Jensen reporting on this.
Adam Mahood, a research ecologist with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, highlights the ubiquity of grass, noting its presence in virtually any environment. Grass fires, while typically less intense than forest fires, spread rapidly, outpacing firefighting efforts and encroaching upon homes built closer to fire-prone areas. Recent studies reveal a doubling in the number of U.S. homes destroyed by wildfires over the past 3 decades, with the majority succumbing to fires fueled by grass and shrubs rather than forest fires. The western U.S. faces the greatest risk, with 2/3 of homes lost to wildfires in the last 30 years situated in this region. The expansion of human settlements into wildland-urban interfaces, coupled with human-triggered fire ignitions, further exacerbates the wildfire threat. The proliferation of homes in these areas amplifies the risk of fire ignition and spread. John Abatsablu, a climate professor at the University of California, Merced, underscores the role of climate change in intensifying wildfires, particularly in regions with intermediate precipitation levels. In America's grassy heartland, characterized by dry and windy conditions, a combination of climatic extremes creates optimal conditions for grass-fueled fires. Megafires, such as Texas' Smokehouse Creek Fire, and destructive blazes like Colorado's Marshall Fire, underscore the severity of the situation. Changes in seasonal precipitation patterns contribute to grass growth, followed by dormancy in winter. Warmer winters with reduced snow cover expose grass to dry spells in late winter and early spring, priming it for ignition. Todd Lindley, a fire weather expert, emphasizes the importance of understanding these dynamics to mitigate the risk of grass-fueled wildfires. In essence, the proliferation of grass, exacerbated by climate change and human activity, poses a formidable challenge in wildfire management. Addressing this challenge requires a multifaceted approach that encompasses land management, firefighting strategies, and climate resilience measures. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update.
A group of Russian naval ships, including a nuclear-powered submarine, is set to visit Cuba next week as part of what the Cuban government describes as historically friendly relations. According to the Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces, the Russian ships, including the frigate Gorshkov, the nuclear-powered submarine Kazan, the fleet oil tanker Pashin, and the rescue tug Nikolai Chaiker, will dock at the port of Havana from June 12 to 17. We have Alana reporting on this.
Cuba has assured that none of the visiting ships carry nuclear weapons and emphasizes that their stopover does not pose a threat to the region. The Cuban government states that visits by naval units from other countries are a long-standing practice with nations that maintain friendly relations and collaboration. While Cuba has announced the visit, Moscow has yet to confirm the details. The Russian Navy has made similar visits to Cuba in the past, reflecting the historical ties between the two countries, including during the Cold War era. Last July, a Russian Navy training-class ship visited Havana for a 4-day stay. This upcoming visit appears to be the largest of its kind in recent years. Cuba's reliance on Russian oil and aid has increased as the country faces its worst economic crisis in decades. The timing of Cuba's announcement coincides with escalating tensions between the West and Russia. U.S. President Joe Biden recently authorized limited strikes inside Russian territory by Ukraine using American munitions. In response, Russian President Vladimir Putin warned of potential consequences for countries supplying weapons to conflict zones, stating that such actions could be seen as direct involvement in a war against Russia. Amid these tensions, Russia's military is expected to increase its naval and air activity near the United States this summer as part of routine maneuvers. The Pentagon has stated that these deployments are part of Russia's regular naval operations and do not pose a direct threat to the United States. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update.
Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has announced that his country is seeking an agreement with the U.S. to deport asylum seekers and migrants directly to their countries of origin instead of Mexico. This announcement follows U.S. President Joe Biden's executive action, which aims to bar individuals who cross the U.S.-Mexico border illegally from requesting asylum during periods of high illegal crossings. Under Biden's plan, asylum seekers who do not meet certain exemptions would be turned away to Mexico or returned to their home countries. We have Jordan reporting on this.
Despite concerns about a potential increase in migrants on the Mexican side of the border, President López Obrador expressed confidence that an agreement with the U.S. to deport migrants directly would alleviate any such issues. He emphasized that Mexico treats all migrants well, but sees the benefit of a direct agreement between the two countries. Biden and López Obrador also had a phone call to discuss the need to support Latin American nations, describing the conversation as respectful and amicable. However, critics argue that Biden's migration measure may not be sufficient to address the large numbers of people arriving at the U.S. southern border. Some warn that closing the border to asylum seekers could put vulnerable individuals at risk. In practice, the new rule could effectively close the border to thousands of refugees currently in Mexico awaiting entry into the United States. Tanisha Guillen, a professor at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, and former commissioner of the National Migration Institute of Mexico, described the measure as creating a virtual wall, leaving many people without shelter or protection. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update.
Tesla's CEO Elon Musk and his considerable wealth are at the center of attention in an upcoming shareholder vote. The vote concerns the approval of a significant stock option package that Musk was granted in 2018, which was subsequently invalidated by a Delaware judge earlier this year. Now, Musk and Tesla's board are urging shareholders to vote again to reinstate the stock options and to relocate Tesla's state of incorporation away from Delaware entirely. We have Ava reporting on this.
The board is emphasizing that failure to approve these proposals may result in Musk's diminished attention to the company's operations at a time when Tesla is facing significant challenges. These challenges include a substantial decline in stock price, missed sales forecasts, and heightened competition in the electric vehicle (EV) market that Tesla itself instigated. The outcome of the vote will be revealed during Tesla's annual shareholders meeting on Thursday. One proposal seeks to reapprove the stock option package, which was initially approved by shareholders in 2018 but later invalidated by the court. The second proposal involves relocating Tesla's state of incorporation from Delaware to Texas. The original stock option package, valued at over $50 billion at the time of its approval, has been reduced to approximately $46.9 billion due to changes in Tesla's stock price. Despite significant shareholder support in 2018, the recent court ruling criticized the Tesla board's process for creating the pay package, citing flaws and insufficient representation of shareholder interests. In response to the ruling, Musk and Tesla have appealed and are seeking shareholder approval to relocate the company's state of incorporation to Texas. This move would prevent future interference from Delaware courts regarding executive compensation packages. To garner support for the upcoming vote, Tesla's board has been actively communicating with shareholders, advocating for a yes vote through numerous SEC filings and even offering incentives such as a factory tour conducted by Musk himself. Despite previous shareholder approval, the board appears to be taking extra measures to ensure the success of this month's vote. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update.
Thanks for tuning in to World in 15 for your daily dose of news and updates. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on breaking stories and insightful analysis.